Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine.
Joe. Little fucking Joe Lindsley.
Joe Lindsley is quickly becoming an American treasure in broadcasting.
Welcome to Ukraine Bank.
Let's get the latest on the recent wave of Russian airstrikes in Ukraine. Joseph Lindsley joins us. Joseph, what is going on at this moment where you are?
Well, Bob, good afternoon from Lviv. It's extremely cold here today. Right now, it's warmed up to 18 degrees Fahrenheit. But when I was out this morning, it was just 1 degree. Beautiful, crystal clear day, snow on the ground. And it's notable because the infrastructure is working despite those very intense attacks that began on December 28th and continued throughout New Year's weekend. And then, of course, yesterday morning. And this is, if you think it's probably not going to get much colder than it is right now. It'll still be cold and snowy in the coming months. But I think this shows us that, Russia last winter spent so much money hitting Ukrainian infrastructure every week. And, one of those large attacks with 80 to 100 missiles, including hypersonic Kinzhal missiles, can cost something like $1 billion per attack. So last winter, Russia was spending at least $1 billion every Monday or Tuesday for several months to attack infrastructure in Ukraine. And it seems that maybe they've realized that it doesn't work. I mean, yeah, it was a difficult winter, but people survived and adapted, and everyone is sort of ready for it this year. Whether with everyone stocked with candles, warmer clothes, blankets, and generators. But it seems that that's not happening. And, as it was a pretty calm night in most of the country away from the front lines last night. We didn't even really have air alarms. And I think no regions away from the front had air raid alarms last night, which is unusual. And it's sort of, you feel like you get some kind of, it's a weird feeling, but you get some kind of bonus. You get so accustomed to that when you have a pause, it almost feels like a dream in a way. And in fact, today I was walking in the cold to get some coffee, and I passed some people I knew, and other people started talking to each other. And then before you know it, someone starts singing one of the songs of the Christmas season, which they still celebrate very fiercely here in Galicia, in western Ukraine, in the city of Lviv, and in the mountains to the south of here. And once one of these, you call the people of Lviv Leopolitans or Lviviani, and once one of them sings, they don't stop. And so everyone stepped inside and in the shop and was singing one of their songs of the season. And each of these songs has so much repetition. You repeat the same chorus over and over, and it's almost like this insistence upon being joyful no matter what is going on around you. In these traditions that were developed in very difficult times in centuries past, and you can really feel that spirit now. How they're able to smile and sing together, and even with the sort of the heaviness that everyone is feeling, this recognition that obviously Russia is and fully intending on still trying to conquer Ukraine, and seeing the lack of will from the West. And we had reports in the past couple of days that there was a promise of F-16s, fighter jets from Denmark, and now it seems that these won't be. We were told in August by the Danish Prime Minister that the F-16s would arrive by New Year's Day, which is already passed. And then a few weeks ago, the prognosis was the F-16s would arrive by March. And now it seems it might be not until September or the end of this year. And the excuse is, and of course, Denmark is sending the F-16s, but they're produced in the U.S., and everything requires the permission of Washington, even though they were Denmark's F-16s. And the excuse is that Ukrainians are taking it's taking them too long to train the Ukrainians. But as we've heard that excuse so many times for nearly 2 years now, that Ukrainians can't use the HIMARS or the ATACMS or the Abrams tank because it takes them too long to train. And that's just not true. I mean, everyone has, we've seen time and time again. In fact, the Western militaries and NATO militaries have had such high praise for Ukrainians for their engineering abilities, for their innovative mindset. I've heard that especially from the UK, where Ukrainians have been training pretty often. And so the question is, what is, it's something strange how that the F-16s, which could change things in such a dramatic way, they could give Ukrainians, some kind of attempt at air control along the front lines, which would enable the guys on the ground to finally really begin to advance. You really can't do that without some kind of attempted air superiority, and so the tough reality, the tough question is this: does Washington not want F-16s here as long as you still have this current threat from Russia? In other words, would they only send F-16s to Ukraine once there is some kind of negotiation and partition, where, say, Western Ukraine, like here in Lviv, is agreed upon to, be a safe zone, and the rest, parts in the east are given up to Russia? This is the thing that I think, Russia, how do we put this? It's one of the most delicate questions, but I know that people in Washington actually want this, that they want a partition, they want a negotiation. And then at that point, they won't bring Ukraine into NATO, but they'll say, yeah, you can have some jets to protect those places in Ukraine that are very close to Europe and to NATO.
Huge issues for sure. Funny, though, sometimes how, Joseph, in your reports, those small scenes that you describe stay with us. And I remember listening to the creator and executive producer of 60 Minutes years ago, Don Hewitt, talk about how if you want to convey what's going on in a big story, just tell a small story. And when you posted the other day about how your favorite coffee shop was in ruins because it was hit by a missile or a drone. I mean, and that really sticks with you when you think about that. I mean, that's what your life is like there now. I can't imagine, walking to my favorite place for breakfast and coming upon it one day and it's bombed. It's completely gone. I mean, that's really unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's strange and unsettling how that becomes a routine. Especially when I return to cities like Kharkiv that are frequently bombed after being away for a while. You expect that that's going to happen, and places will still show up on Google, and you turn a corner and see that it's gone, and that's really, so much is destroyed in the past couple of weeks in particular, and places that. When I was in Kharkiv a year ago from now, from really today, much of the city was shut down, because it had been so heavily pummeled. But since February 24th, 1 year ago, that city really came back to life, and so to see how all the work and spirit that went into that, and people who were very courageous, knowing that they're only living 30 miles from the Russian border, but it's become a normal part of life, and it's something that for the world doesn't seem to matter so much anymore. And I think it was 10 years ago from these days, right now in this type of cold, Ukrainians were protesting not only in the main square in Kyiv but here in Lviv, and they were pushing against the secret police, and they kicked out the pro-Putin regime. And it was that endurance during that time that got Ukraine the 8 years it had of sort of total freedom, and that's everything that's under threat right now. And by the way, a quick thing to mention: I used to speak on a Polish TVP World every Monday. They gave me like 30 minutes to talk about Ukraine, and the new Polish government took that channel off air, and even they took down their website. I would write stories, and many others would. There was great commentary every single day about Ukraine, and the new Polish government, strangely, has taken all of that down. And so right now in Poland, there's a huge, we had a big American audience on YouTube, and it's strange that right now, when information is so important, why would Poland, which you think is such a great ally, be doing this? There's a lot more there, but an important point to note.
It does matter, and let me close with this message from one of our listeners to that point. Bob, please let Joseph know how much we value his reports and his bravery. We cannot look away now. We must continue to support Ukraine. Thank you for continuing to bring Joseph to us. He and all of Ukraine are in our prayers, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Well, thank you. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?